my exact strategy is such, and which is now what we refer to as the Hopkins formula that we teach our clients, which is a 3-step formula, named after myself, of course. The 3-step formula is what I did to replace my income in the first 5 years.
This is Property Investory, where we talk to successful property investors to find out more about their stories, mindset, and strategies. I'm Tyron Shum, and in this episode, we're continuing the conversation with brains behind the A-Team Property Group, Sasha Hopkins. We'll uncover the 3 phases of his self-named formula for success and how you can use this to replace your income and reach financial freedom within 5 to 10 years. But first, was there anything holding him back from initially investing in property?
One thing that I'll happily admit is that I don't seem to have really much a sense of fear at all of taking risks. And one thing I'm really good at, even though, I don't have any doctorates and, bachelors and all that sort of stuff. I have nothing really besides a real estate license. But one thing that I've been always really good at is taking a lot of action. So no, I wouldn't say there was anything holding me back on the first one. Probably just not really knowing. But I was just keen to get into the market and get started. So,
however, Hopkins does recognise the difficulty of getting past a negative mindset in order to move forward, with many people who are in the position to do something but are held back from fear.
It's still, the biggest sort of challenge that we have day to day doing what we do here is, look, people are scared. They're scared because they don't want to lose their money. They might have had a bad experience. Their parents might have had a really, really tough experience, growing up. They might not have had any money, and they've sort of been ingrained a particular, way of thinking towards money, and they might not want their parents or to go through what their parents did. So there's all these sort of, it always stems from something, from something that's been younger or the way that they've been educated. And, people are serial procrastinators these days. And, unfortunately, it's a bit harsh, but, if people don't take a step or take action towards a better place or a better life that they want to live, there's just no bloody way that they're going to be able to do it. And that's just really as simple as it is. So, I guess, it could be emotions, fears, it could be, negative influences. There's so many things that stop people from doing something. And, I see people, I've probably consulted to 2,500 plus people now in Australia. And, I've seen people in fantastic positions, far better than I ever was when I was starting out or, coming up through for my portfolio. And they don't do anything because of fear. And it's really sad, but sometimes I have to tell people what do you think is actually more scary? You buying this property and then, building it and getting it tenanted out and then realizing it's not for you, or continuing down this path of doing nothing and then ending up like 87% of Australians that retire on, less than 30 grand a year as a couple. What's more scary? And you have to give them an ultimatum. And that's how life is.
In order to overcome their fears, he says before turning to sources of practical information, it's important to want it enough to follow through with it.
To begin with, it has to come from themselves. Nothing resonates with people. Information won't register unless the motivation comes from themselves. Me telling you to do something, you hear it, you probably know, but unless you feel it or you have a life experience that sort of causes you to have a learning about it, it's never going to work. So people need to, I guess, learn or work out themselves. All right, I need to do this, for myself and my future. And people have to, and it really comes down to, starting with the end in mind and reverse engineering, where people want to get to. I mean, one of the things that we take people through is, working out exactly where people want to be and what actually that looks like, on a daily basis, the exact day, the type of lifestyle they want to live, understanding, what people aren't happy with in their life financially, what's been stopping them from becoming financially free so far. And then it's understanding what those maybe habits that need to be changed, or, new routines that need to be conditioned. And then, people need a bit of accountability. They need to believe that they can do it themselves. They need to want to do it themselves by having a vision of where they want to be, and having the motivation behind them, e.g., for family and, being able to have choice and freedom and all that sort of stuff. And people just need a bit of love. They need someone to help hold their hand to be able to lead them, down a path that's proven, so that they don't, that minimise, the chance of people making mistakes and having a bad experience. You only need 10 years, in property, and you're set for life.
Some books which have helped him through his property investing journey include classics by Robert Kiyosaki, Steve McKnight, and Tim Ferriss.
There's pretty limited books, in my opinion, in Australia, property books, that in my opinion provide, they're either relevant or, the first property book, realistically, everyone has to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's just a non-negotiable. That's honestly probably the best book, and then the second one being Cash Flow Quadrant. They're probably their best books, and that's about money, in the relationship with money, and and investing in the concepts of of not conforming to the typical 9 to 5 and end up with nothing. So they're non-negotiables in my opinion. Property books that I've read, the first book that I read at the beginning was Steve McKnight's book. What was it, 0 to 130 properties or something like that in 7 years. Now I think that one's possibly a little bit outdated now, or the same practices I don't think work exactly the way that is. But look, that helped, definitely. But even though I didn't follow that same kind of method, what else have I read that's property related? I read Cam's book, My 4-Year-Old. What else? There hasn't been too many property books. A lot more of them have been around, mindset and then, I guess when I've been moving into business, seeing that I've sort of got property under my belt now, there's been a lot more sort of recent business books or mindset books. So, it just so happens that property is the vehicle that's got me to where I am. Business is my other passion now that, I'm in my learning phase and mastering phase. Still got a lot to go, of course, but, some other books, what have I read? So, there is My 4-Hour Work Week. That's a really good book. That's by Tim Ferriss. Then we've got, some books by Grant Cardone and Gary Vee, and, some old classics like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's a great one. That's a classic. And then there's some other kind of businessy type ones and sales ones. And, one that I'm reading right now is called The One Thing. And that is basically, pretty much talking about that everyone these days is addicted to being busy and addicted to multitasking, myself included. But the reality is that, being busy isn't actually necessarily an effective way of being, because people don't really complete tasks. They focus on being busy rather than focusing on completion of tasks, whether that's, in your job, whether that's at home with, family, whatever it is. People are playing below the line, being, busy and not actually doing a whole lot, versus playing above the line where people just focus on completing the most important things. What's the one most important thing right now that's going to, progress me closer to my bigger goal? And that's kind of, I guess, a lot of that to do with mindset and productivity. So they're all relevant.
A A strong personal habit, which have contributed to Hopkins' success, sets him up for the entire year and allows him to drastically improve in all areas of his life where necessary.
I don't know how it worked, how I made it up or when it happened. I've been doing it for many years now. But every single, we're coming up to that time of the year, so every single New Year's, New Year's Eve, I don't really go out or go to a party or anything like that. Not that I don't enjoy doing those sort of things, but for me, it is imperative that I wake up on New Year's morning with a nice, clear, the clearest conscience, the clearest mindset, the clearest outlook. I don't want to have a diluted outlook or a hangover, because for me, and look, this might be part of my old habits that I'm trying to improve and change, but I don't want to start the year. I want to start the year, being totally focused. And so one sort of routine that I go through, it honestly spans over 2 or 3 days. New Year's Eve, I write up a list and review of all my achievements for that particular year, and I write down everything that I'm proud of and everything that I've done that year, and I might reflect back to what my previous goals that I set at the beginning a year ago for that particular year, and what I've done and what's been exceeded. And I sort of like last year I did a Facebook Live about it, and everybody, it was really good because a lot of people also took the time to be proud of what they had achieved that year. But then probably the most important thing is then the next 2 days, generally the first and the second, in amongst relaxing, of course, but I break down my life into 6 pillars. So 1 is business and or occupation, 2, financial and wealth, 3, mental and emotional, 4, health and fitness, 5, relationships and family, and 6, fun and rewards. So I break it down like that because to me they're the most important things in my life in terms of how the different sections of my life. And what I do is I then set goals out for every single one of those 6 pillars of what I want to achieve out of that. And I literally write my plan for that for the next year to come, being 2018. I write out everything I want to achieve in business, the A-team, the property development company, the finance business, any new ventures that I'm, wanting to release, in the year to come. So I really break down, everything you can possibly imagine about planning. Then I do the same for my own personal and wealth. I'll always review the previous year, look at how much I'd smashed those original goals. And I do that throughout every single pillar. For fun and awards, how much have I been, staying true to rewarding myself and smelling the roses? Do I want to be doing even more of that for the year to come? Can I do more of that now? Relationships, all that sort of stuff. I do that. It's a very intense and mind-consuming process, but without a word of a lie, without any doubt, I have exceeded every single goal that I've set myself every year for probably the last 5 or 6 years by doing this process.
That's phenomenal.
So it's for me, it's very powerful, and I'm certain it would work for other people. But you have to be really, you really have to commit the time to be able to do it, and then really think about what it is that you want from the year to come. Because life passes by very, very fast, and if you're not living up to your potential, and if you don't know where you're wanting to get to, then people are just treading water and getting nowhere.
Setting and then committing to your goals may mean reviewing them throughout the year to stay on track. However, often he smashes them earlier.
I would review the plan probably in the first couple of months a lot more frequently than as the year goes on. I might touch on it every quarter or so. But look, to be honest, I haven't looked at that plan now for, I'd say, it's probably 6 months, because I already know in my mind that I've already beaten it, by mid-year. And now I'm just seeing what will happen, and then I want to get a nice little surprise as to, all right, well, here's what I set. Where am I at? How many areas have I exceeded it? Yeah, there'll always be a few that might not have got there, but look, that's how life is, or business or whatever. Things come up. But But now that, when I know that I'm on the right track and kicking goals, it's more just about then, reflecting on how much I exceeded that then at the end of the year.
Coming up after the break, we'll delve into Hopkins' strategy for property investing.
What it involves is starting out by laying foundational properties in your portfolio. So what a foundation property is, so we do every part of our strategies includes some sort of element of construction, because we like to add value to a piece of land.
How you can achieve financial freedom using the Hopkins formula within a shorter period of time.
They only need to complete a couple of projects with us over a 3 to 4 year period max, and they've been able to replace or create an extra $200,000 of income.
And that's next. I'm Taran Shum, and you're listening to Property Investory. Hey podcast listeners, I just wanted to let you know about the podcast show notes I've created for you that you can download at freepropertyresource.com. Inside these show notes, I've included a full summary, details of the resources recommended, plus much, much more. Just go to freepropertyresource.com to grab it now. It's free and it'll make the rest of the episode so much more impactful. Again, that's freepropertyresource.com. Now back to the show. To create his own portfolio and to aid his clients in attaining wealth through property, he has created the Hopkins formula. This allows them to smash these goals within 5 to 10 years of investing via a series of phases.
So the number one rule to me that I learned very early on is that I can't do it myself. I can't do it on my own. So I've honestly paid, excluding the business sort of any coaching and stuff like that, I've probably spent $80,000 on property education and other property services to help me in those first few years. Now, my exact strategy is such, and which is now what we refer to as the Hopkins formula that we teach our clients, which is a 3-step formula named after myself, of course. Now, the 3-step formula is what I did to replace my income in the first 5 years. What it involves is starting out by laying foundational properties in your portfolio. So what a foundation property is, so we do every part of our strategies includes some sort of element of construction, because we like to add value to a piece of land by constructing on it. And when we're timing the right market, we always have growth or instant equity on the completion, of those construction projects or those houses. Some as much as $150,000 from when the client first signs the contract. That aside, though, I've worked out, or what I did is I put 3 of those foundational properties into phase 1 of the portfolio. You only need 3. It was actually 4. Sorry, no, 4. But you only need 3 in your portfolio. Let's say worth $500,000. Your typical good long-term growth house in a capital city. That's going to always have constant demand, population growth, and will increase in value. Now, if you have 3 of those at $500K each, so $1.5 million, then if that only grows at 7% per year, or on an average, then you're making yourself over $100,000 of equity growth just in the first year, and no doubt that's going to compound each year. Okay. Then we introduce phase 2, which is dual income or dual occupancy and duplex investment. So that's bringing in some higher yielding properties. So dual occupancy being capital city based, high rental yield and the same growth prospects as a house, or duplexes, being also capital cities and higher yield, or sometimes going a little bit further out of a city to be able to create a higher instant equity gain on the completion, but still with a higher yield. And the reason why we bring in those higher yielding properties is so that it balances out the cash flow of the portfolio. So if we've got, 4 or 5 of these very well positioned properties paying for themselves, the last two are increasing our serviceability, then that's kind of the set and forget. That's the foundation done. You're going to be creating anywhere between 100 to 200K of equity growth each year by doing nothing. All right. So that's done. Then though, and of course we might bring in, self-managed super fund strategies as well, whether it's a house or investing into development, which I'll cover next.
The next stage is development, which is set up in a particular way to manage individual aspects of the project.
Phase 3 is when stuff starts to get really exciting. And that's when we introduce property development. But we do it in a way that it's to become a business. So we run very, very, unique joint venture development projects or opportunities. So we partner with people to project manage small development projects that we do everything from putting together the joint venture to sourcing the site, the finance, the DD, the feasibilities, managing the DA process, the subdivision, the construction, the sales. So everything is all project managed. And the profits that are created from these projects in a 12 to 18 month period, we set it up in a way in which the client invests through a special purpose vehicle or a specialized entity or structure, that the profit that's created will be able to be used as additional income in the future to be able to boost up serviceability. So once we've done that a couple of times in this third phase of the Hopkins formula being development, then we're actually in a position where we could potentially replace our income or substitute someone in the family's working income, because we create an extra 150K of income per year now through development. So really that's exactly what I did to replace my income after 5 years. And that is now exactly what we teach our clients, the exact same process. People get it because it makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, done in the days where companies just tell you to buy 10 properties in 10 years and you'll be financially free. Yeah, of course, if people could do that, it'd work. But we know what banks have been like for the last few years, very strict. So we need to be a lot more creative, and we need to be a lot more outside the box and forward thinking to ensure that we aren't going to be stopped in terms of our ability to borrow money. We want to ensure that we can continue to borrow money to be able to get to our goal. And we're very confident that people should be able to get there if they follow this process in a 10-year period. And that's our commitment to our clients.
So, has there been clients who have managed to achieve that within a shorter period of time?
The A-team itself has only been, we've only been rolling out the Hopkins formula as an official kind of process for, what would it be, maybe 15 months or so under this formula. We were still doing other parts of it, just it wasn't as structured as it is. But look, some people might come in and they've already got their 4 or 5 properties in their foundation. They might just need one more, high yielding property or something like that to complete it. Some people might roll straight into property development because they're at that level, and they only need to complete a couple of projects with us over a 3 to 4 year period max, and they've been able to replace or create an extra $200,000 of income. It just depends on where everyone's at. There is a reason why it's split into 3 phases, because it is imperative that people starting out understand all of the little one percenters involved in property investing. Sure, doing a development sounds exciting and it's sexy. However, if you don't understand, the finance process, if you've never, settled on a property before, if you don't understand all of the elements of, property management, being a landlord, depreciation and maximizing your tax returns, and there's so much that people need to learn. They are doing themselves a disadvantage if they're trying to jump the gun. And in addition, the other reason why we want to lay the foundation is if we do move into something a little bit, what would be perceived as a little bit more risky, and it went wrong, you don't want to lose everything. You want to still have a backbone or that foundation to fall back on. You want to ensure that you're always going to be protected, and that's why we design it in the way that we do. because people would be protected through completing that 3-step process.
In terms of locations where he prefers to implement this strategy, Hopkins has diversified over Melbourne and Brisbane, among other states.
Over the past, 18 months, we've been doing very, very moderate, only maybe once or twice in New South Wales, so I wouldn't even really mention that. But, Melbourne and Brisbane has been the predominant. So we've had a lot of clients that have done very well, made between 100 to 200K of equity in Melbourne over the past 18 odd months. And a lot of those clients, we're now getting into Brisbane. I've purchased, my last 4 have been in Brisbane because I'm a big believer that market has to follow suit, as Sydney and as what Sydney and Melbourne have done. And there's a lot of great drivers and, I guess reasons as to why that's going to happen. So I'm really confident in Brisbane, and that whole southeast Queensland market it's been sort of heating up for a while, but it's time to hit the boil and do what Sydney and Melbourne have done. So I'm looking forward to that. I guess in the future I'd probably look at Perth. Maybe I might look at it in 6 months. That we'll see. But that'd probably be the next horizon of a city that I'd look at.
It's clear he has come a long way within a 10-year period.
Firstly, I would never believe if I said that, just rocking up in Melbourne that you're going to be, you're going to have over a $10 million property portfolio and, have 3, fast-growing businesses. One that made the Australian Financial Review fast starters. I would never have imagined that, I'd be employing 12 staff and have, a couple of business partners and all that sort of stuff. No, there's no chance I would have believed it.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I guess it'd be a surprise for him to actually find out in 10 years' time this is where you're at.
Yeah, I'd laugh.
Now, he is excited about fine-tuning his processes in all areas of his life, such as with his family and growing his businesses.
The situation I'm at with my personal investing now is, I know it's probably going to sound a little bit wankish, but I seem to find what I'm doing, it's nearly because I've put in the hard work now, and really I'm now starting to reap the fruits of my labour, if that's what the term is. I don't even know, but reap the rewards. Don't know where I was going with that, but I find it now nearly effortless to be able to produce insane profit. So I only do developing now because that's just the level that I'm at. And, I don't look at a development unless it's going to produce me a 500K profit in that 12 to 18 month time frame. And I've done 4 of those this year alone. It's like, well, if that's just going to keep happening, I could just, stop the 18 and keep doing that if I really wanted to. And I'd be in a really good position. But I suppose, it's exciting to see over the next 5 years where my property portfolio will be. I do also really like business, and I'm wanting to grow the 3 current companies to a pretty cool level. So I guess it'd just be awesome to see how far I can go. That's one of my drivers. That's a little bit of ego, I guess, wanting to push yourself and see what you can become. Sometimes, it has the opposite effect of wanting to take it easy and spend time with your family. I do get pulled in 2 directions a lot of the time. But I suppose the main thing for me would be to work out how can I satisfy my drive and my ambitions for success, whilst being the best dad I can be, the best husband I can be, growing a family and looking after my family. My mum works with me, my sister, my dad. He's one of my mentors, and I employ my best mate from high school, who's a godfather of my daughter. So, it's just, I guess, looking after those close people and seeing how many lives we can change in the next 5 years. Definitely like to get to 1,000 for sure.
If you'd like to connect with Hopkins to discover more on the Hopkins formula or find out more about the A-Team or other businesses that can help you with your journey, You can do so online or by giving them a call.
The best way to connect with us would be either jumping on the website, www.the18propertygroup.com.au, or giving us a call, 1300 283 267. In terms of the services that we offer, so make it really clear, we are very selective with who we work with. We're not a massive, we have thousands of clients, but they've only ever bought one property type of company. We're more of what we'd call, a boutique sort of company. Of course, we'd like to grow to a larger size, but maintaining the right people and results is very big for us. So, I guess for the people that are, 110% committed to wanting to change their life, through property, the service that we offer is we conduct initial one-on-one consultations where we really break down each person's situation, uncover a lot of time what their pain points are that they might not really know that are obvious, and where is it they really want to get to, and we help them create and tailor a 10-year plan. So we've actually got a piece of software that integrates with the Hopkins formula, the 3-step process, so we can look at every single person's situation, where they are as of today, income, assets, liabilities, input that into our template, and that can literally spit out, based on the Hopkins formula, where they would be in 10 years' time, how much wealth they're creating each year, what is their wealth position in 10 years' time, based on us taking them through our process. So I'm very excited about that.
Thank you to Sasha Hopkins, our guest on this episode of Property Investory. If you want to hear more about his journey, then visit our website at propertyinvestory.com. Simply type in the search bar Sasha Hopkins and select that episode to learn more about his story. Also, if you haven't subscribed to receive your free property case studies that I only send out exclusively via email, you can text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to subscribe. These real case studies are from experienced property investors where they share specific numbers of their portfolio, the strategies, and much more. Simply text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to get your free case studies. Thanks for listening.